Hey everybody, today we're talking about how important it is to be your authentic self. And I'm here with Kendra, who is our trauma and addiction recovery coach here at GILD Coaching. And this is a topic that is very near and dear to her heart. So, hey Kendra.
Hey Shawn, thank you so much for having me here today. And you are 100% right. It's one of my favorite topics. And I'll tell you why in just a couple minutes. But first, what brings to mind here is that I recently met a new friend who is on the outside very different than a lot of people that I know. Very different hair and tattoos and things like that. And what I love about Crystal, her name is Crystal. What I love about Crystal is that she is herself unapologetically. And what I mean by that is when you have a conversation with somebody, you can really, once you get to know how to tell, you can really tell who's being their authentic self and who's not. And what I love, and Crystal doesn't have, it's none of her business what other people think about her. And she is just herself exactly the way she is. And I just love that about her. And so it reminds me that I need to do the same. Here is why the topic is so important to me, because I have a lot of clients who have had trauma in their lives. And when we have experienced a traumatic situation, we tend to cover up ourselves in order to for protection, basically. So we put a layer of protection over our true selves, and we move on in our lives being somebody that is not who we authentically are. Now that works in the beginning, particularly if this trauma is happening in childhood and you go through the rest of your childhood, it's a protection mechanism. But as you get to be an adult, what starts to happen is that the person that you've created for protection is struggling underneath and to make decisions for the authentic self. So the authentic self never goes away. It's always in here. It's your essence. It's what you're born with. But the persona that you've created for protection no longer works to protect the authentic self. And so what we do for work is, or what I do for work with clients is we dust off the dust on top of the authentic self, and we don't create an authentic self, but we find the authentic self underneath. It's all covered up with the dust from the trauma. And what's really neat about that is that means that you can start living your life the way you really want to. You start listening to your intuition. You start listening to yourself and finding out what you like, not what society likes, not what you've been conditioned to think, not what your parents think or your kids think or your husband or whatever, wife or whatever. It's what you want as a person. And so it's important for your happiness and for joy of being a human to be and to uncover that authentic self. So that's really why I love this subject, and I love to see people that have done the work and are coming forward in society as their authentic self and just being who they are. And it's beautiful, actually.
I love that. You know, as you were saying that, I'm thinking to myself, just in the professional world, how important it is to be your authentic self, and how much it can help with your outcomes and your success. And it was interesting to hear about, hey, where does some of this, cover up, or this inability to be authentic, where does it come from a childhood perspective? And a lot of times it comes from an unsafe environment. And I think about professionally, I think, we can view our professional environment as unsafe, I think, in many ways, meaning unsafe in that, are we going to be accepted? Or, hey, if we're authentic, if we say what we mean, if we, act the way, we're feeling or what have you, is it going to impact our ability to be successful or to develop in our careers and what have you? So being authentic takes courage and it takes confidence. Now think about those two things, courage and confidence. to me are big elements of executive presence, meaning when you're confident and you're courageous, that comes across, right? When you're not, that also comes across. And so being authentic is, number one, an easier thing to be than to act like who you think other folks are looking at. But it's also, it's just automatically going to convey the courage and the confidence that, that you have to have in order to be your authentic self. So just with that mindset and what you're conveying to others around you, I mean, that is presence, that is powerful, and that's an element of success professionally.
One of the other things that I teach my corporate clients is that you can be authentic. So a lot of people think that, especially in the corporate world, that if you're being courageous and that you have to be like abrasive or loud, or you have to speak up like that. And what I teach my corporate clients is that you can be authentic, you can speak up, you can have courage, all of that in a compassionate way. You don't have to come across as if it's a woman, a BITCH or whatever, you don't have to come across that way. You can cross and be authentic in a compassionate way. So there are, particularly in the workforce, the workplace, I know of what you speak of, Shawn, in that sometimes we're afraid to speak up. We're afraid to say something to our manager or to someone higher than our manager, maybe something that needs to be said, something that's important. But there is a professional way to do it as well. But you can do both. You can be your authentic self, speak up with courage, conviction, dedication, all of that, but also with compassion as well. They can meld together, and a lot of the corporate world does not know how to do that. Meld the compassion in there with it. It's all combined, and when you do that, you get a better outcome, which is what we've talked about previously. And also you're seen as a professional with courage and, conviction and compassion. So
I love that. And thank you for making that distinction, because there is a distinction between being your authentic self and also, staying professional, staying open to others' opinions, and open to challenge and things like that. Being your being your authentic self doesn't preclude those things, right?
Right.
Because being authentic is also having control, right, over your behavior and those types of things.
Absolutely. Great subject. Thank you so much for sharing, Shawn.
Well, thank you. I love this topic. And guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe if you like this topic and other topics in this same arena. Otherwise, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.